Hi you guys, hello and welcome. Trying to film a couple of videos here today because it's gorgeous outside. I wanted to talk about this here. This is a large-scale hydrangea, Hydrangea paniculata. It's a native of eastern China, especially southeastern China. Coastal regions such as Lake Fuzhou and kind of coastal areas that are kind of north of Hong Kong, but more on the Atlantic or Pacific coast. It's a gorgeous plant. It responds very, very well to hard pruning. I'm just gonna flip over the camera. Yeah, so just to give you some scale, this one's probably 9 feet tall. They can get pretty large. It's grown in a topiary kind of form. I like calling these butterfly hydrangea because they have these beautiful little bracts. So these are not the true flowers, they're just the bracts. They're like modified leaves. These are the seed pods. If you leave the seed pods to persist, they're very good for your local birds. Really, really good for finches and chickadees and that sort of thing. Pretty low germination rates from what I've seen. They do require light to germinate from what I've noticed, and they're the kind of thing that overwinters, and then you'll get like seedlings near the base. Best time to prune these is in the early fall, in my opinion, because then they have enough time to callus over and then they are not susceptible to so much internal rot. Especially in the crowns here, you can get a lot of rot if the collar of your cuts are not made super clean. The person that pruned this, I think, did actually a pretty good job. I don't know if you can see the new cork is forming really nicely in a ring around that wound. You can also prune these kind of early summer. You want to watch out that you don't get rid of your future blooms. They do only bloom on new wood. They tend to bloom more profusely on second year wood, but any of the mature scaly wood, like this stuff in the middle, is less likely to see blooms. Most of the blooms in these guys are white, sometimes kind of more of a greenish chartreuse white color. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of pink on the ends. It almost kind of reminds me of like a crepe myrtle tree. Very cold hardy down to about -30 Celsius. I've even seen them. I've seen these online growing in places like Manitoba in Minnesota, so they're very robust, very cold hardy. They pair very well with other types of hydrangea. They don't necessarily like getting cut down to the ground like these hydrangea macrophylla, but if you have a part of your garden where hydrangea macrophylla does very, very well, panicle hydrangeas will do very well too. So this is the bloom structure. This is what we call in botany a panicle, hence the name Hydrangea paniculata. They like the soil to be a little bit more acidic. They like being mulched down to a few inches with green mulch, specifically grass clippings they tend to really like. They don't like coffee grounds though, because the coffee grounds tend to burn the roots, especially if they're not diluted with water, for example. Full sun, you're not going to get as many blooms if you have these guys in shade. They do tolerate partial shade, but they just won't perform quite as nicely. And they can get way bigger than this too, actually. So a little bit of restorative thinning, pruning, cutting down to the nearest fork type of a deal. Very similar to pruning a lilac. Quite responsive to rejuvenation pruning. They are susceptible to a bit of dieback. They're susceptible to some blights. When they're in bloom, they're susceptible to thrips too. But yeah, beautiful landscape plant. I'll have to come back here to show you guys when they're in full bloom in the midsummer and early fall. So have a good day, you guys. Stay blessed, and yeah, thank you.